I wanted to make a cheesesteak video, but the last time I did, I had so many negative comments.
I just want to make a Philly cheese. Is that too much to ask?
Apparently.
It's really dangerous with the Philly because it's like the sacred thing.
I tried to make one, and on YouTube, the comment section did not appreciate it.
It's dangerous. It's like we insulted their mother by adding bell peppers.
Yeah, because I didn't follow the rules. I don't know what the rules are.
What rules? Authentic.
But here's the thing, the rules change depending on who you ask. I figure there's gotta be someone out there that knows. And I didn't want to just ask people on YouTube. Maybe a place that knows something about cheesesteaks.
Loaded with brotherly love.
Somewhere where we can find all of the answers.
We wanted to talk to the people and say, what is authentic?
Pat's.
King of the steaks. If you're gonna be in Philly, you gotta go by Pat's. Apparently, he's the inventor. It says so on the sign, right over there. Pat's opened up in the 1930s. It actually started as a hot dog vending location. Then he got the idea to put some steak on one of his hot dog buns, creating the very first cheesesteak.
While Pat's opened in the 1930s and is officially the inventor of the cheesesteak right across the street, Geno's opened in the 1960s and claimed to be the first ones to add cheese. But I think Pat's might disagree.
But if you want to get out of the city and go somewhere local, then you find a local place with a local. Which is why we have Betty here with us. So tell us where we're at and what we're doing.
We are in Delco, or Delaware County, at the original Thunderbird Steakhouse. This is one of my favorite places. I have family that work here. I grew up around here, so this would be one of the places that I'll always come back to visit and get a cheesesteak from.
A Delco classic. And so then what did you order for us to eat today?
We got a double meat cheesesteak with some sharp provolone cheese. You can smell it, can't you?
Oh, I smell it.
And it's made on a conchi or Conshohocken roll, which is one of my favorite conchi rolls. We have really good bread here, so
That's
you're
what I
gonna
hear.
love it.
How about what's this?
These are some long hots.
Did we just put them
Super
on?
hot, if you want to. If you can
fine.
take the heat.
Baby, I'm in the kitchen.
All right, let's
I
go
want
for
the
it.
heat. So I think I'm gonna wait on this just one moment because I want to taste.
Try it first without.
The authentic.
Cheers, look at that.
Oh,
Cheese.
man.
It's stinky. Sharp provolone, I love it.
Ooh, stinky, eat up. Whoever says that.
No, that roll is soft and chewy.
That's a contender.
The roll is so important.
Okay, well, this is awesome. Can we go try another place though?
Let's go.
Now typically when you see #1 cheesesteak on the sign, I feel like there's something you should test. Have you ever eaten here?
Not yet.
And I've obviously never eaten here, so I think we need to give this one a try just to have some perspective. So how are we gonna order it?
Can we get a cheesesteak on a seeded roll with Cooper Sharp?
What did you say,
Fried
seeded?
onions.
Seeded roll.
A seeded roll.
So this is very different from the last one.
Yes. Okay. I want them to try the seeded roll with fried onions, mushroom, and extra Cooper Sharp cheese.
Now is Cooper Sharp cheese, seeded, and mushroom, is that authentic cheesesteak?
Sure.
Sure.
Fried onions, yep.
Sure.
With the Cooper Sharp.
Are there some, like, you cannot break these rules? Are there,
I feel like putting too many toppings and stuff with tomato.
how many toppings is too many?
Like outside of fried onions, I feel like it's a violation. Ketchup's okay.
What do we get into peppers?
When you get into all
Getting
the
too
other
much?
stuff, it just gets to be
Then
like,
it's like then you're taking away from the meat and the flavors and everything.
I've heard there's like a cheese debate.
the
Cheese
cheese
whiz,
on it,
not
yeah.
a fan
right.
of whiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, super American straight on it.
So it has to be American.
I don't know if it has to be, but ours is.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think it's better that way? Good to know, thank you.
You can wear the side of what
Here we go.
Thank you so much.
Number one.
guys.
Number one.
Yeah.
It's on the sign.
That's what they say.
If it's
the people,
number-
it's the people said that.
If it's
They
number
voted.
2, we're gonna have words, buddy.
All right, so I'm noticing right at first, much different. Like the cheese is different, the mushrooms, the meat, it's all different. The bread,
And
you were
the
right.
It
sesame
seems
seeded
much,
bread.
much saucier.
They're not.
Whoa, way different from anything we've had so far. Ribeye, seeded,
The seeds
Mushroom.
make such a difference.
and what did you say the cheese was?
Cooper Sharp American cheese, which makes a world of difference. I
Got
think
it.
it's the #1 cheese.
All right, on to the next.
Let's go.
Okay.
So this is where we get the best cheesesteak in the area?
Have one.
Of course.
Our cheesesteak's fine.
I'm noticing this one does have a different appearance, different look, and it's got the seeded bread. Betty loves the seeded bread.
You know what I love? There's no mushrooms in here.
I like the mushrooms.
I like it anyway.
When somebody comes and calls it, I have a Philly cheesesteak, it's probably not gonna be that good. Just call it a cheesesteak.
Basically like saying you're a tourist.
Yeah.
100%.
Usually they do not have the roll, which makes the sandwich first. You gotta have a good roll. It's gotta hold everything together. It has to hold the meat, the cheese, everything, so it doesn't get too salty. And then the steak, they don't have the sliced steak.
When I ask someone what their favorite, where their favorite cheesesteak is, I hear about my dad's favorite place. I hear about where I went with my friends after a night out, where I went on my first date, where I met somebody. So it's not the cheesesteak. Cheesesteaks are imprinted with our childhood memories. So when you say something bad about my cheesesteak, you're not saying you're saying about my family, my friends. So it becomes, in Philly, we defend our cheesesteaks like we defend our family and our high school and anything dear to us, because it's imprinted with our childhood memories.
I just had a conversation with my son who's in the car, because we're from Philly and it's hard to find a good cheesesteak in this town, anywhere around here. And I had one of these like last week and it was really good. And it was good for the right reasons. Good roll, good meat, and it was a wet steak.
Meat, cheese, and a roll. Good roll, good Philly roll.
This is a good cheesesteak. What would you say is the number one thing that would disqualify something from being a cheesesteak? Like, oh, you've gone too far.
I would probably say one of the biggest no-nos is mayonnaise. I won't order it, but I will eat it every time.
I think anything ranch on a cheesesteak comes near it, I think you disqualify cheesesteak.
If you go to like Philly joints, right? Even the guys who do the tests or do the surveys, like they're ordering the same thing. They're going cheesesteak fried onions. They're just cheesesteak fried onions, nothing else. But then they're going over to the stand and they're doctoring it up with all kinds of stuff. So don't let them tell you what's good and what's not. It's good meat, good roll.
Another tasty stop. I think we're ready for another adventure. Let's move it on.
All right, guys, this is my go-to place for my family, Lorenzo's Steaks and Hoagies, one of my favorite. Every weekend, stop.
Okay.
It's so good.
I think one of the biggest things is the roll. The roll is like, that's why they say you can't get cheesesteaks anywhere else in the country except up here, because the water.
And bread probably isn't, a roll is probably the best thing there. 100%.
I live in Toronto and you cannot get a cheesesteak anywhere but Philly. You can't.
Yeah, so just from looking, we've had a lot of cheesesteaks. Just looking at it, it looks like something I want to devour.
On ours specifically, we use 100% ribeye, which I love.
Similar to Joey's, and like how like juicy and cheesy and
Except this is ribeye.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's right.
So that's the main difference here, ribeye.
Cooper Sharp American, it's American, just richer in flavor, a little bit creamier. Makes 1,000 times difference.
And
And
the
bread,
that Cooper Sharp.
Yeah, and he said he melts his Cooper Sharp, so it's not whiz, but it is liquid Cooper Sharp, which is, I think, a pro move. Let's find out. I think where we've gotten into trouble is using the word Philly.
No, it's just a cheesesteak. Yeah, it's just cheesesteak.
People say it all the time, but then when I think Philly cheesesteak and like other places that have it, they always put fried onions, green peppers on it. Like if I go somewhere and I see Philly cheesesteak on the menu, it's fried onions, green peppers. And to me, I'm like, that's not what a Philly cheesesteak is. It's okay if you eat it that way, but it's not what it is.
So you got Pat's Steak in Philadelphia, and they still use cheese whiz. But in this area, I think you have American cheese most of the time on it, as opposed to that. Again, there's one place down popular in Philadelphia that does use that. So I don't know whether it's always been. My lifetime, I'm pretty old, and it's not much whiz up here unless you ask for it. So.
If the roll's not good, the cheesesteak's not going to be good. You can use the best meat in the world, it's not going to be good.
I mean, I've gone to places that are like Philly cheese, like from Philly. They bring in the bread from Philly, and nothing's the same.
My cheesesteak, I put ketchup on it. You get hate comments for it. People are like, no, ketchup doesn't belong on the cheesesteak. And I'm like, well, I like it.
I always dip my cheesesteaks in ketchup, which some people find sacrilegious, other people find a must.
And oddly enough, I will eat pickles on my cheesesteak.
It's a little hot.
Okay, I think this is like the culmination. I'm glad we came here. This is the culmination of everything I feel like we've learned so far.
It's kind of creamy.
Yes.
Like because of that, the cheese being melted the way it was.
Yep.
And it's all melted throughout, which is how I like mine.
Oh yeah.
Very simple
You
meat, cheese, and onions.
It's going to be tough to beat this one. And also, we heard him reiterate the fact it's not a Philly cheesesteak. Cheesesteak.
I've been trying to tell Betty that this whole time. She'll
Here,
never
we're
listen
learning.
to me.
We're learning.
These boys.
Okay, enough is enough. We've done the research. We've gone all over Philly.
Truth.
Downtown, outskirts, locals. We're non-locals.
Non-locals.
I just want to eat it already.
That is not authentic. Can I just, for the
100%.
record? No, I was pointing at
Oh,
yours.
yes.
Did you point at hers?
Yes.
I don't know. That's something you would get here.
This is what you would get here. This
But not
is
authentic.
But not authentic.
Craziness.
I
Not
actually
authentic.
think that what
Not
we've
authentic.
decided is that Philly folk, they don't eat it
They
traditionally.
don't agree on what authentic is, which is fine.
Totally.
Because Betty just said that's better than
Than
the
the authentic.
original, which I would agree. Pat's not that impressive.
Nope.
I tried to keep mine somewhat authentic from what we learned so far. However, I do have a few twists that are definitely not authentic. For me, I'm using dry aged ribeye that's sliced nice and thin, but I want to get to my vegetables first. I'm going to do onions and peppers and mushrooms. I'll talk about the mushrooms in a minute, but I want my onions and my peppers to be kind of like strips. So I'm going to cut them both the same way. I'm also adding a sauce. This is very simple, but I want to amplify that umami flavor. So I've got some mayo, I've got some horseradish mustard, and I've also got some Worcestershire sauce, all in a bowl. Mix it up. Simple, really, really easy, and super flavorful. I'm using two different cheeses today. Both are melty and delicious. The first is really, really fun. It's a truffle Gouda. It's gonna give us crazy amounts of savory flavor. And I also have plain old white American. That's gonna give us the texture that we really want. The bread of choice for me is a Lissio's seeded roll. I know Betty likes a seeded roll. And from everything I've learned so far, it's kind of up in the air on seeded or non-seeded, so I don't think this is authentic, but I like it, so I'm going with a seeded roll. My cook is pretty simple. I'm gonna start with oil and some butter. I definitely wanna increase that smoke point. Throw down that beautiful dry aged ribeye, start to get that nice and caramelized. Now earlier we talked about our shiitake mushrooms. These are super beefy flavors, so I'm gonna add those in front as well with some butter. Then I add my peppers and my onions to start cooking together. Now I'm just gonna hit this with salt and pepper, nothing too crazy. I really want that dry aged flavor to come through. Once I've got that caramelization that I want, I'm gonna toss everything together. I wanna make a nice little pile and add some of that truffle Gouda and some of that American right over the top. You can mix that together just so you get some melty cheese throughout the beef. Then I'm gonna put some of that beautiful sauce on my roll, top it, and that, my friends, this is stunning. I can't wait to try this.
Now, I decided to, what's the term, throw the baby out with the bathwater? Or should you not do that?
You shouldn't.
Don't do that.
You're gonna.
But I 100% did. This is not authentic whatsoever, except for a few things. Number one is our sliced ribeye. I don't even think bell peppers technically are authentic, but I like them, so I wanted to add those. Now, wit or wit out doesn't really apply in this. I'm just doing provolone cheese. And then, to top it off, I'm going to go into madness territory. I've got some sliced sopressata, which I have crisped up on the Blackstone. I'm gonna pair that with some delicious vinegar punch. I love that vinegar flavor of banana peppers. And my friends, I'm gonna top it off really with some madness, some chimichurri. I actually do this in the middle as well because I wanted to keep it really juicy. And of course, we've got our roll. Now, what's my roll's name?
Lissio.
Lissio. That I think is actually authenticity. Lissio, authenticity. But then I like to post-drizzle it, I guess.
Yeah,
and speaking of post-drizzle, I'm gonna do one last post because
You gotta post dust.
post dust. It's kind of my thing. So I'm gonna post dust with some Blackstone
not just a clever
cheesesteak.
name. I get it.
Yeah.
So I'm taking my cheesesteak and keeping it nice and traditional, except for the seeded roll. I have some sliced ribeye steak. I have a sweet yellow onion that I'm gonna dice up, and we're slicing up some pickles because I love serving my cheesesteaks with a fresh pickle out of the barrel. For the creamiest cheesesteak, Cooper Sharp American cheese is my top pick. My bread of choice is a seeded Licio roll, extra large. We're gonna slice this in half and slice it down the middle, and it's ready for our cheesesteak. I have my Blackstone preheated to high heat. I'm gonna turn it down before I drop down some duck fat. I love using the duck fat to cook my onions in nice and low and slow, so these cook to, they're just still tender, and then add in some shiitake mushroom. Season everything up with a little bit of pepper, and now it's time to drop down our ribeye using 2 spatulas or your scraper. Chop up your ribeye nice and fine. Give that a seasoning of pepper. Once everything's cooked together, we can incorporate all of our ingredients together, and now is when we want to salt everything. Now I'm going to top everything with our Cooper Sharp American cheese and give it a mix to melt throughout our entire cheesesteak. Line it up, top it off with some more of that cheese, and then place our Licio roll on top and let it just steam to warm up your roll for a few seconds. And we're gonna pull this off and plate it up.
Are you gonna house that whole thing?
No way, I can't do
All
that.
right. I'm excited for the better cheesesteak.
Look
Whoa.
at that. This is like perfection to me.
Yeah, you're right.
See,
Whoa,
this is
whoa.
perfection. You're throwing meat at me.
I do think that little bit of vinegar is nice for a sandwich, but I think it eliminates you for the running of a Philly.
I never wanted it.
Here, I'm gonna let you try mine. This is for you. I'll give this one to Betty. All right, the pickle is a really nice
Cheers.
add for me.
Oh, you giving me the mushroom then?
Uh-huh.
All right. Betty chopping up the meat like that, that's a pro move.
I like your choice in the shiitake too.
Who's gonna try mine?
I will.
Ah, forget it. No. Let me just be the first to say, you're welcome.
Here's the thing. It's really good. Not a cheesesteak.
That's fine.
Well, I'm all about the superside on your sandwich.
You mean the sopressata?
Superside.
Sopressata.
It's superside.
Sopressata.
Superside.
So I guess the point is, a cheesesteak is whatever you make it. And the fact that everywhere we've gone doesn't seem to agree on what authentic is, they definitely agree with what best is. Is it time to free the cheesesteak?
Let's release them.
Release the cheesesteak.
Release the cheesesteak.
And I'm excited to see the cheesesteak finally
So, like, is that
free?
Hashtag free the cheesesteak?
Hashtag free the cheesesteak.
Well,
I think the only thing you really need to make a good cheesesteak, no matter what you put in it, is Blackstone.
Oh,
I thought she was pointing at me. I'm
no,
like,
not
yes.
CJ. Just a Blackstone.
Okay.
Some good bread, some good ribeye, and whatever toppings you like.
Yes. Whatever toppings you like.
Hashtag free the cheesesteak.